Welcome back. You're watching Morning Live. Now, the highly popular Success Summit returns to South Africa this year. The summit focuses on sharing success strategy, insight and skills needed to create a wealthier and healthier mindset. Now, the Success Summit will be filled with the cream of the crop of successful businessmen who will share their secrets of how to turn your business into a multi-million empire. We're now joined in the studio by organizational culture expert and author Colin Browne. Colin, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you.
Let's get into the mindset of a successful businessman. And I want to add an add-on question. How do we breed success? Because often you find people that are successful businessmen are not successful at home.
Yeah, and of course that's always going to be the difficulty, isn't it? Striking balance like that. The truth is, I think the most successful people very often in business have made some sacrifices. I mean, I don't think you can achieve great success without giving something up. And that's so the important thing here, Sam, is that's a question you need to ask yourself. Are you ready for this or aren't you? That's something you really need to be sure in your head. In terms of what makes these people successful, there's a definite mix of drive, ambition, almost bloody-mindedness, if you like, about success, about single focus about achieving. And that's what you're going to see from a lot of the people here, is that perhaps these aren't the people who've achieved the very greatest amount of balance in their lives, but they've achieved great success in their business.
And that's really what the aim is. But how do we define success today? We've seen all the seminars, we've heard some of the wealthiest people in the world talk about their success, but how can we define our personal success?
So my personal definition of that's always going to be in terms of, and it's always going to be for me in terms of my interaction with my family and the people that are closest to me. I'm always going to feel successful if I've got those relationships. But that's me. Do you know what I mean? And whilst from a business point of view, success, I guess, is largely about influence, and that's what these guys on this summit have, is a very great deal of influence in their particular fields. They are the experts. They do know what they're talking about, and they can help other people achieve the same sort of level of success, or at least get the keys to that sort of success.
Growing up, my mum always used to tell me, the harder you work, the more luckier you get. Yeah. I heard Gary Player say that at one point, about hard work. But how much does hard work actually pay off? Or does there have to be a measure of luck, opportunity? Is that somehow a formula for success?
Sure. Sam, I'm sitting on television with you right now. Hey, I mean, that's kind of the measure of where you can take this stuff. Yeah. And the simple fact is that the work that I've done in writing my book and researching and all that kind of stuff, there was a lot of hard slog over a couple of years. The funny thing is, though, once you get going, and I met a young man this weekend called the Pavement Bookworm, who's a homeless guy living
on the corner of Empire in Johannesburg.
But he's doing some remarkable things, because literally he's just decided that he's going to take his own success into his hands. What's happening now all of a sudden is he's getting radio and television appearances. People are starting to pay attention. He wouldn't have done anything. He wouldn't have got anywhere like that if he hadn't started. So in a way, the hard work has to come first, but it's amazing how things pick up momentum once you've actually done something that's noteworthy.
You've got the cream of the crop of businessmen here.
Yeah.
Guys who are the co-founder of Apple is a billionaire. Yeah. You've got multi-millionaires. Talk to me about the mix of the speakers, and I think there's some new speakers that have been added to the list.
Yeah, there are. So perhaps the, and not to disparage any of the speakers, there are some fabulous people from Peter Sage to Greg Secker to Dr. John DeMartini, who you all know. The standout ones, perhaps for various reasons, are Jordan Belfort. Now, you'll know him as the Wolf of Wall Street, one of the most polarizing characters today because of the way he was portrayed by Leonardo DiCaprio in that movie. Love him or hate him, he's certainly interesting. And the one thing that, whether he's used his talents for good or bad, he's an incredibly persuasive salesperson, and that's the kind of thing that he's going to be teaching. So, use your moral compass to determine where you're going to go with the lessons that you get from all of these sorts of things, but he's really, really, really interesting. Steve Wozniak, he and Steve Jobs, we all know Steve Jobs. Yeah. What people may not fully realize is that Apple was started in Wozniak's parents' garage in 1976. They were both teenagers, and Wozniak was a technology brain behind this. Now, of course, Jobs took over because he was the marketing brain, the sales brain. He's the guy out in front. But Wozniak's fascinating, and if anybody can teach you the beginning stages and maybe the difficulties in starting $1 billion business, he's been there. So if you're at the beginning now and you're working out of your garage and thinking, oh, where am I going? Well, Apple's where you could be going, Perhaps the most fun one, though, is our local, it's a chap by the name of Sibulela Kuza. ex-USA. I'm not sure I pronounced that properly. But Sibulela's amazing. He's Harvard educated. He won a grant to go to Harvard. He's even got a planet named after him. He won a science prize, and one of the prizes was they named a planet after him. I think it's a small thing circling Jupiter or something. But that's fantastic. He is doing stuff in the field of green technology and solar power and things like that now. All his own inventions. He's kind of our own new Steve Wozniak in South Africa. So that's great.
You're part of the panel. Talk to me about, for you personally, what it means to be talking alongside some of the biggest names in business.
Oh, it's an honor. Of course it is. It's great to be up there. It's a very big audience as well. It's not normal to have that size audience in South Africa. I think a lot of these guys are used to those sizes of audiences overseas, but we're talking thousands and thousands of people at the Santa Convention Centre, and so that's quite exciting and quite interesting. Well, there's certainly a lot of pressure, Sam. I mean, let's make no mistake, to get this right. There's a lot of people who are buying tickets to go in there and learn some new stuff. And it's our job to deliver that.
In 10 seconds, are we touching on the youth?
We are. So we absolutely are. I mean, there's no doubt that... 10 seconds. There's no doubt that that this is the key to providing employment in this country, is giving people keys to success. That's a big thing for us.
Colin Browne, we're going to leave it there, but thank you very much for joining me this morning and talking about the upcoming Success Summit that, of course, is the author and organizational culture expert Colin Browne talking to us about what can only be built as a star-studded lineup. We'll take an ad break. We'll be back after this.